Back in the summer of 2016, my wife and I got married in Calgary, Alberta, the place where I grew up, on a beautiful summer day. It was a day that we will remember forever. It was on that day that a full-blooded Finn and a full-blooded Canadian tied the knot, not having any idea of the adventures that were about to come their way. Not long after our wedding, we headed back to the land of Finns, where the black licorice candy flows like milk and honey. It was a great time to finally meet Preeta's family and begin working on her Canadian permanent residency. We built up many good memories during this time, and after about 10 months of living in Finland, we got the good news that Preeta's PR application had been approved. We were now headed back to the place where it all began, back to Canada. We ended up volunteering on a goat farm in Nanaimo, BC with an organization called WOOF, where we stayed at an elderly couple's farmhouse for a little over 1.5 months. The idea was to gain a few memorable experiences together, free room and board, and buy some time before jumping back into the busy world of paying the bills. After we got the goat life out of our system, we headed right back to the place where I grew up, Calgary, Alberta, and we picked up a few odd jobs and waited for the next chapter of our Finnish-Canadian adventure to unravel. Zooming ahead about 2 years of living the usual Canadian work life, I got promoted to be a respectable furniture delivery driver at Perfect Home Furniture. This work was particularly hard, and it felt like I had just joined the military, but to my surprise, it gave me some memorable traveling experiences while traveling throughout the beautiful prairies of Alberta. On a typical day, I stumbled upon a cute little town just outside of Calgary called Carstairs, and within a few days of my discovery, I took my wife Preeta on a road trip to see what I had found. To my surprise, I was met with tears while standing somewhere in the Carstairs prairies as Preeta asked me if we could make this little gem of a town our home. I of course said, "Sure babes, why not?" In the summer of 2020, we took a leap of faith and bought our first Canadian family home in the beautiful prairies of Carstairs, Alberta. We underwent many renovation projects over the course of 3 years, making it exactly to our heart's desire. We did everything from exterior paint, a full interior paint job, a new garden greenhouse area with lots of digging. I stained the deck, planted some trees, put in some new toilets, and underwent a full flooring transformation project, and the list, it just goes on and on. Somewhere in the midst of our busy lives, we realized we had hit the 6-year mark of living in Canada, and it was right around this time that another surprise had come our way. A cute little creature named Ava Grace Pritchard entered into the world. Ava became a source of great love and joy in our home, and we developed a new passion for posting endless baby videos for our friends and family. It was also this time that Preeta officially became a Canadian citizen, which gave us no shortage of celebrations. On one day, a day like any other day, a little word began to emerge within our hearts. It was the word Finland. The more we talked about it, the more excited we became to potentially take a plunge and move back to Finland. It seemed a little odd on the surface because we knew it wasn't going to be easy. We had just had a baby, we had a home that we loved, and how were we going to bring this very energetic miniature Aussie pup with us? Somehow we knew that if we followed our heart's desire, in the end, it would all be worth it, and we would have no regrets. At this point, Preeta had not seen her family in over 6 years, particularly due to COVID, and we were ready to make the move. In January of 2023, we officially made the decision to sell our prairie dream home and start the long process of uprooting and rebuilding our lives. We started to slow down work with our jobs and begin to quickly sell and give away everything that we had. We listed our house only a few months later in April of 2023, and within 5 days, it surprisingly sold for almost double our purchase price, which we felt like was a huge blessing from God. It was right around this point in our journey that things were starting to get very real for us. We sold even more stuff. We sold hide-a-bed, sofa, mattress, tables, chairs, shelves, car, everything. Basically, we were living in a warehouse, and we did this all because as of May 28th, a month after our house sale, we were out. Thankfully, around this time, ℉ritcharđ's parents made the decision to come to take a trip over to Canada with extra suitcases as a kind way of helping us fly back to Finland all together. When May 28 finally came, the total number of luggages came in at 11 50 to 70 pounders, 5 personal bags, 5 carry-ons, a baby seat, and a crate for Elsie to travel. We spent the last days cleaning, packing, and donating all of our leftover things, and we did this all before heading off to our Airbnb for 11 days and then finally off to Finland. On the final day, my parents graciously showed up with my uncle's truck and helped us load and drop everything off at the Airbnb. We managed to squeeze everything in just 2 vehicles, which meant only one 1-hour trip to Calgary. At this point, we could officially say that we were moved out and houseless. Not homeless, because home was still in our hearts. Carstairs, we're gonna miss you. The Airbnb was 2 cabins in a guy's backyard, which in theory was a great idea, but in practicality, it felt kind of like a teenager heading off to a week-long summer camp. As much as we enjoyed hanging out on their communal deck, there were these little critters scattered all throughout the cabins, and a total of 3 mice that we graciously caught and threw away for our beloved Airbnb host. Despite all the critters and all the overpowering synthetic air freshener smells, the actual surrounding area being so close to Edworthy Park ended up being a refreshing experience for everyone. Although there was no doubt that we were very eager to get the party started and start the 40-hour travel trip to Finland. Finally, when June 6th came, 11 days after arriving at the Airbnb, my parents came a second time and helped us get everything loaded up and off to the airport. Before the airport, we headed to the Canadian Food Inspection Agency vet, where we got all of Elsie's shots and a dewormer certified no less than 48 hours upon entering into Finland. After this was done, my wife, little Ava, Elsie, and I finally were off to the airport. It was the moment that we had been waiting for 6 months. We split up from ℉ritcharđ's parents because they had already purchased their tickets, and unfortunately, we found out later that we needed to take 2 separate airlines in order for Elsie to make it to Finland. No single airline went from Calgary to Finland, and dogs could not be transferred from one airline to another all in one go. This meant between Piri and I, we had to take half the luggages, 5 suitcases, 6 carry-ons, 1 crate, and 1 car seat while carrying a baby and handling Elsie, all until we met ℉ritcharđ's parents in the Toronto airport the following day on the second airline. It was an experience that I could say I was just a little bit stressed out about, but thankfully we did our best.
There we go.
At the airport, all the luggages were loaded onto 3 separate carts, and after a few pictures were taken, we checked into our first flight from Calgary to Toronto. At this point, we had absolutely no shortage of adrenaline pumping through our veins, as we needed to be very creative in order to maneuver all the bags with so few hands.
Eva. There you go.
First came our solemn goodbyes with Elsie.
Bye-bye.
Then came our goodbyes with our parents, which was very bittersweet because on one hand, we were excited to start the adventure to Finland, but on the other hand, we were very sad to leave them behind. Soon we were on the first plane and starting the 40-hour adventure. We managed to entertain Ava on the first flight and put her to sleep, thankfully with only minor fussing. When we landed in Toronto 4 hours later, it became pretty obvious that we were going to need a few extra hands. I had an idea to pay a porter who could help us get to our 4-point Sheraton shuttle post with his handy-dandy dolly. It was 10 p.m. at night, my phone had died, Ava was tired, Elsie was whining, Toronto was hectic, but eventually we made it to our hotel. We were able to stay until 4 p.m. the next day, which was a huge relief, as our flight didn't leave until 9 p.m. the following day. After sleeping like a baby, 4 p.m. eventually came and we were back at it. Back to loading all the luggages on the shuttle, back to the airport, and back to facing all the eyeballs gazing at our beautiful luggage collection, which probably looked like we were helping out a small village. We checked in, said our goodbyes to Elsie again, and after all the security checks, we were finally reunited back with ℉ritcharđ's parents, which was another huge relief. More people meant more hands for more luggages, but most importantly, it meant more love. seemed as though the hard part was done.
Last Timmy's experience
Oh man.
ever.
Oh man.
Ever.
We then jumped on our second plane. This time we were all together and we flew off to Reykjavik, Iceland. There we had a 1-hour layover in the world's quietest airport as far as I'm concerned, and gingerly we made our way to the next plane heading for Helsinki. After confirming that our mini Aussie was on the plane,
Finland.
we were back in the air on the final plane ride heading towards the promised land. When we finally landed in Helsinki, it seemed as though we all had one thought in our minds. Did Elsie make it? And if so, how was she doing? It appeared that Elsie was alive and doing well, maybe a little whiny, but she was happy and relieved because she was reunited with her family and she was back with the pack.
Oh my goodness. All the way from Canada. Oh, 40 hours, baby.
All of our luggages ended up making it except for one. It was my precious Canadian-made Seagull guitar, but praise God, it ended up coming a few days later after filing a missing bag report. Elsie's certificates were approved, and we were officially marching towards the exit doors like a bunch of tired soldiers returning home after a long-fought battle. Piri's dad met us at the front doors with his handy trailer, which he parked at the airport a few weeks prior. At this point, we had reached the 45-hour mark in the journey, and all that was left was a 6-hour drive from Helsinki to Joensuu, East Finland, where Pirita's parents lived. We were beyond exhausted, but somehow the stunning nature drive back made it all the worthwhile. With a few head massages to keep Piri's dad awake, we finally made it to their beautiful property. Officially, we had hit the 50-hour mark with very little sleep. Elsie had now become a Finnish pup, and it was pretty obvious that she was very much enjoying her new green sanctuary. The days to follow entailed a few meetings with Pirita's family members who were very eager and excited to meet. Little Ava gained a new friend, Annie, her Finnish cousin, who she had just met for the very first time. We did very important tasks like set up a trampoline and net, put up a swing for Ava to have her first flying experience, one that she loved. We went to sauna, then jumped into the lake, did this several times, checked out Pirita's parents' cottages, went waterboarding in the rain, did some more paperwork, made some more phone calls, and went to a few more appointments in Joensuu. We even checked out a few Finnish houses that potentially could be our future Finadian home. Despite feeling a little sick after crashing from all the built-up adrenaline, we were happy and relieved because we had all made it. We really had no idea if Elsie's paperwork was going to hold up through the Finnish customs, but she was indeed granted permission to enter into the EU, which was a huge victory. We are now eager to begin rebuilding our new life here in Finland, and we will expectantly wait on what the future holds for our cute little Finnish-Canadian family. We feel blessed, especially to be here during the beautiful Finnish summer, where the sun literally never goes down, and where the Finnish mosquitoes make sure that you never feel like you're ever alone. It has truly been an adventure of a lifetime, and I am sure it's going to be one that we will remember forever.
Thank
you
you.
so much.
I made it.
Until next time, my friends, moi moi. Oh, and stay tuned for any future updates on how our adventures will continue with our new life here in Finland. I hope to share more about our living situation, videos on home renovations, and information and observations of the major differences between life in Canada versus life here in Finland. This was just an update of many more Finadian adventures to come.
Big B right here. Excuse me. Ah, I'm dying. I'm dying. I'm dying. I'm dying. I need this bee to disappear. Is this a nest or what? This is against everything I stand for. I don't believe in wasps. Bro. I don't know if this is gonna happen. Alright. Still learning the Finnish ways.